He makes computers seem easy, but that pocket protector says otherwise. Keeping your technology running smoothly, here's Benjamin Rockwell with Computer Talk Radio.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. The phone number, 888-NERD, 888, yeah, that's right, NERD, 888-6373. 888. I am a computer nerd. That is one of the things that I've had to come to grips with over my life. I've had to just accept that no matter where I go, people are going to say, "Oh, there goes that nerd again." But you know what? Actually, that's okay, because you realize by now, hey, that I enjoy this, that this is fun, but that it's one of those things that people identify with me, understanding that, I know that there are weird things in my life. I have just an extreme obsession for all kinds of tech, a lot of stuff that I don't even talk about here on the air. And coming up later on this hour, we're going to talk to Keith M. Sedor. We're going to talk to a gentleman by the name of Cody Wilson. There's an interesting story that we've got ahead of us with Cody Wilson. I'm going to also talk about, well, there is a change afoot. Not much. It's all right. We'll talk about that at the end of the hour. But first, let's dive into the news. And there's so much in the way of news that's going on these days. I've been kind of deluged with all kinds of different items, a couple of different products that came across my desk. One of them is a smartphone add-on. I guess it's Bluetooth or something, called Kun or Kun or whatever it's translated in Japanese to sniff. I have no idea why they named it that, but whatever. I do. It's to detect body odors. And yeah, if you are paranoid about how you smell, if you are concerned about your odor, this thing will tell you. And I'm thrown off by this. It's put out by Konica Minolta, and they are selling this. The big target for starters is off in Japan, where people live a little bit closer to each other than they do here. So that's all right. Samsung has a very interesting problem. What happened was a fire broke out at a factory in Tianjin, China. This is the factory, we believe, that, made the faulty batteries that led to the Galaxy Note 7 smartphones. Yes, that's right. So, fire in the battery factory that's famous for, yes, batteries that catch on fire. So, I guess we shouldn't be surprised by that. But then again, maybe we are. And, of course, someone did a report. This is an interesting one. This was over in Britain. And the British think tank called Reform, they did a bit of analysis over there. And this analysis came forth that 90%, that's like 9 out of 10, British civil service workers have jobs that are so pointless that they could be replaced by robots, saving the government, their government, a bunch of cash. $8 billion in cash. Now, we know this already. We know that people are moving forward in a number of different directions. We've already seen this in the fast food enterprises. They are starting to outfit various fast food restaurants with kiosks where you walk up and you decide exactly how you want your burger, your burrito, your fries, your whatever it is that you're ordering. And the neat thing is, it actually increases the accuracy of the order. Why? Because you're actually visually seeing it. You're taking part in this. You are taking control of that order. And that means less food being thrown out. That's a good thing. This is one of those things where computers are now cheap enough, and the programming of these is so cheap that, yes, we can even replace the bottom dollar workers. Now, am I happy about people needing to find new jobs? No. But at the same time, the idea of anybody that is working a job where they're getting minimum wage is a sort of, I don't know, I don't quite grasp that. I've had a drive for my entire life to make a lot of money and not go back to flipping burgers or asking, would you like fries with that? And I know I'll probably get some hate mail over this. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna encourage this. If you can, do it politely, please. I would be interested if you would go to the Contacts tab and you go to the website, scroll down just a little bit and say, hey, I work a minimum wage job and it's perfectly fine that I do it, and explain to me why you would continue with that versus moving your way on up and into other more rewarding positions. I mean, maybe you do find that rewarding. I don't know. And yes, I'm inviting a whole lot of trouble there. Google has something that is very interesting. We've seen this. All right. I mean, we've seen this on television, CSI, NCIS, they get a picture of a license plate from 7 miles away, and they are able to slowly enhance this, and they go, that's right there. That's what the license plate number is. Well, for a long time, that's been make-believe. But Google is actually able to do some level of enhancements today that get closer to the original picture. Not perfect. They've got some comparisons that I was reviewing, but they took an 8x8 image and they were able to extract out 32 by 32 samples. Okay, so these are postage stamp size pictures. This is actually, that's even smaller than that, but it's on your screen it's going to be something that's really small. When you figure on a regular screen, the dots per inch is usually somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 80 dots per inch. So there we go. That's something to think about. But they compared up the before and after, and they're getting close. They're realizing that it's not going to be perfect, but they'll get the rough general shape of the face proper, and some of the characteristics of the different features of the person. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I thought that was kind of neat. Pope Francis has been spotted. They took a picture of him. Over his shoulder, he was looking at an iPad, and he's doing the same trick that Mark Zuckerberg does. He's got a little sticker over the front-facing camera of his device, which is actually pretty straightforward these days. A lot of people are doing that these days. That's in case the camera gets hijacked. And with certain high-level people, I would understand that. The opportunity to catch a picture of Mark Zuckerberg or the Pope or whoever else on camera when they're least expecting it, there are going to be people who are going to try. And, we're going to continue down that road, I'm sure. We're going to see other ways that people are going to protect themselves. A website that you are probably familiar with is shutting down their message board. IMDb, that stands for Internet Movie Database. This is probably one of the most amazing websites over the years, and there's a long, entire storied history of this. I mean, it predates what we consider the Internet. It has been around as a location on the Internet since 1990. That's before we had all kinds of the World Wide Web stuff. It was just files that someone had out there online, and they were keeping track of. Yeah, who was in various movies and stuff like that. This is, of course, just the message board section, and that scares me. Why? Because there's so much information that we are able to exchange on message boards, and I'm wondering if that's going to change how we interact with, I know it's going to change how we interact with IMDb, but the rest of the websites out there. Are more message boards going to be shutting down because of abuse, because of whatever else? Who knows? But that's coming February 20th. Cody Wilson joins me next here on Computer Talk Radio.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio, so I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. I have Cody Wilson on the line, and before we get to who he is, there's this whole thing actually goes back a long ways, over 70 years, back to World War II. Cody, give me an idea. Just let's start that off. Let's go with what happened back in World War II.
In World War II, the War Department and the Office of Special Services prototyped and designed, with the help of General Motors, a specially stamped metal pistol. And this metal pistol was designed only really to be able to withstand one or two shots firing of a piece of .45 ammunition. And the name of this pistol was called, or its OSS name was called Liberator. The idea was, secretly, that if enough of these pistols were manufactured and then dropped or spread over the occupied territories of Europe during the height of the war, that it might not only aid French resistance or other fighters who might be more inclined to resist Nazi or Axis occupation, but that it would become a psychological operation, an operation of true terror, which would so frustrate the logistical and strategic capabilities of the occupying powers that it might just make a factor in tipping the balance toward an eventual Allied invasion and reoccupation of Europe.
Yeah, this particular firearm, the Liberator pistol, yeah, you're right. It was cheaply made. I did some research on this thing. But at the same time, I don't care what kind of pistol is pointed at me. If I'm going to cooperate with them. So, this entire concept has been redone, though. Your story takes place 70 years forward today. Well, actually, in 2013, with something you managed to do. We talked about this on the radio back then. I want you to go ahead and give your story. What did you do?
Well, what was done to me? We had a project at the time called Wiki Weapon, and the idea was, it's pretty transparent. It was WikiLeaks for guns, if you will. And we knew that with new technologies like 3D printing and digital manufacturing, which we were excited about at the time, we thought if they were able to do things like reproduce gun parts or even like a whole gun, that this would mean that the internet would serve, indeed, it would serve gun files. You could be downloading guns from the internet, and this would create a whole new dimension of political possibility. And of course, really things that were surprising and maybe even terrible from a certain point of view. But we wanted to, we were so excited about that future that we wanted to invent that, create that, in the name of, the death of gun control. It wasn't like we were neutral. We have a position. But we ended up naming the file that we created, the gun that we prototyped, the first 3D printed pistol. We named it, and we took its namesake from that earlier pistol that the War Department never really deployed. It cheaply manufactured and never deployed, but maybe because it thought better of it. And we thought, well, we could kind of rescue that event. We could finish that event, and that would be our kind of coup de grace, our way of signaling that we think 3D printing and the Internet have changed the game for guns and for everything else.
So now you came out with the Liberator pistol, the plastic version of it, with a 3D printer. You then tested it out, you proved it out, and you brought it to the Internet. Now, next thing that happened was the Department of State, something called the Directorate of Defense Trade Controls, the DDTC. Now, people who've been listening to my show for a while know that I used to work in aerospace. That's a surprise to most people. I just recently changed jobs. So I've dealt with the DDTC, although I typically cooperated, with something called ITAR, International Trafficking in Arms Regulations. Now, you, on the other hand, ran afoul of these guys, and these are don't get me wrong, I'm rooting for you because this is a concept of. I think we all need to be sharing information of all kinds of varieties out on the Internet. Go ahead and tell us what happened as you started to move forward and you started to prove this out.
Sure. This was pretty much a rapid response. I had a file sharing site for some months in 2013 that I had been sharing files for, let's say, like AR-15s and magazine files for AKs and things that I would invite other people to share. And we had a growing library of gun-related files. None of those seemed to, let's say, like, produce the particular, response that the fully 3D printed gun file did. And as soon as I posted that file, within a matter of days, I think it was about 2 days, maybe it was even less than 24 hours. It's hard to remember now, but I got a communication from this directorate. And this is already one of the best interviews I've ever done because no one's even pinned it to DDTC before. People pin it on State Department or Defense Department, which you might, naturally. But this is so great that you have an aerospace background. Yeah, there's this tiny bureau, an enforcement and policy bureau, kind of tucked away in the political military division between the Defense Department and the State Department. And their whole operation has been really since the 80s, but even before then, to be a bureau that makes sure that defense articles, so-called defense articles, and defense technology don't cross borders without their licensing and approval. And they're kind of the regulators of the big defense contractors and defense brokering in the country. But they had never before seen a company that had come into the sector and decided, instead of like patenting this for sale,
sure,
I'm just going to give it away. We're just going to put it online and disclaim all copyrights and patents. And no one was ready for that, right? This is you're both seeing like the barrier to entry of defense technology so lowered, and also the ability for the public en masse to access this type of technology so expanded that now a whole division of the government and the foreign affairs power of the United States was confused. Wait a minute. Defense contractors who are just sharing their information and they're not asking us for permission? What do we do about this?
Yeah.
So began a multi-year conflict that is still in the courts, the federal courts to this day, where the federal government says you got to ask us permission, and we say no, we don't.
Yeah. So now let me take there's an interesting parallel. I don't know if you know who Phil Zimmerman is.
Oh, I certainly do.
Okay, so
Phil,
for the rest of the folks listening, Phil Zimmerman came up with something called Pretty Good Privacy, PGP. It is also a very interesting story where he ran into some pretty major interference from the government when he came up with encryption, and that was again over the internet, and therefore. Yeah, the government said, hey, you can't do that. And I know they eventually dropped their case against him, but this entire concept is something where our government frequently wants to get into the middle of things where I personally, I think sometimes they don't know enough to really make a comment on it. They just react too fast. This is something that in your story, Cody, we merge so many different things. We've got right off, we're talking about the Second Amendment. We're talking about the Bill of Rights, and we're talking about you distributing files, files that are your own, of your own design. It's not like somebody else has a license to these or anything like that. And that gets into First Amendment issues. But I'd almost say that your story has an experience leading to what may eventually be considered thought crimes from George Orwell's 1984. We've only got about 45 seconds in this segment. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you're right to bring up Bernstein and Phil Zimmerman and PGP. There are direct parallels to my own case, where in a previous generation the government tried to interrupt the public's acquisition of what became a major technology. And as is the case with technologies and their wide distribution, there ultimately is no way to prevent their adoption. And so we'll be going through another rough period where groups like mine are interrupted by the government, delayed, and perhaps we think, maybe we'll overcome. But look, there's a lot to the story, and we're right in the middle of it, and we're only really just now about to see kind of what the ultimate federal legal shakeout is.
Yeah, there's a lot more that we're going to cover in regards to this. Cody Wilson, and you're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back with Cody Wilson in just a moment. I'm constantly looking for the right place to get computer hardware. It's not easy, as there are so many stores that have gone out of business, so many shady characters online, or they're simply not capable of handling diverse needs. In 1979, two guys got together and built a computer company that could serve your nerdy needs. Micro Center. The wide range of products at Micro Center includes even the latest of Raspberry Pi, Arduino, and other hobbyist-level computers. They also have drones. They've got them in all price categories, from toys to, oh boy. Look, you're looking for console gaming, home automation. Micro Center's got that. Hardware, software, accessories, or, well, whatever. It doesn't matter. From Apple to Zyxel, Micro Center has what you're looking for. 25 stores across the nation, or you can check them out online at microcenter.com. That's microcenter.com. Phone number 888-NERD-888. That's 888-6373-888. If you have any computer questions, I should preface this. If you have any, or qualify this, if you have any computer questions that don't revolve around DDTC issues and getting into like printing your own gun, because I personally don't have good lawyers, but Cody Wilson has great lawyers. During the break, we were talking about some of the folks that worked with Phil Zimmerman have been working with you, Cody, and that's quite amazing. But again, computer questions on normal topics. How does my computer work? Why is it doing this? Again, 888-NERD-888. So, Cody, this is an entire just amazing story, and I mean, you put this into a book. Come and Take It: The Gun Printer's Guide to Thinking Free. But you've also moved on. You're going in a number of other directions with this. You're obviously passionate about the Second Amendment. Tell me about the Ghost Gunner.
Sure. Yeah. In the last few years, we recognize that, I mean, look, it's hard to, we're an open source company, right? We believe in an open source ethos for software, much like the PGP people you referenced in the previous segment. Yeah. We believe in developing software and giving it away for free, and this extends to guns. But you don't make a lot of money doing that. You don't make any. And instead you have lots of costs. So we've always tried to come up with ways to make our research and development more profitable than zero. So we've also become a hardware company in the last few years, and we develop machinery that enables you to take advantage of the software that we've developed. So you can call them printers, but our flagship product is a mill called the Ghost Gunner. It's a tabletop, it's a desktop mill. It's a CNC is the underlying technology, and basically it's computerized milling. It's accurate to the military specification of the rifle receivers, the common rifle receivers, and pistol receivers that you might like to manufacture for yourself.
And so you're talking like an AR-15 or a 1911. That's
right. By the common market of what's called 80% or unfinished receivers in this country, guns like the AR-15 and the AR-308, the 1911, the 1022. We've developed a library of tools and software to help you finish those yourself automatically and repeatedly, reliably. We sell that platform for you, and we service the machine, and that allows us, one, to stay employed, but number two, to develop more software, develop more gun files and ideas, and to support our case against the State Department, which we hope will one day resolve in our favor.
So now with the Ghost Gunner, you can go through and finish off a particular part of the firearm referred to as the lower. This is the part that holds the gun all together, all of the major parts, and has the trigger and things like that in it. You take it from, an 80% condition, and then you, with the Ghost Gunner, you bring it out to that regular 100%?
Mm-hmm, that's right. Now, this isn't like a defined, rigid application. The platform itself is an open platform, just like with our ethos. So we've developed a programmable mill. You can just teach it to do whatever you want with G-code or any other of the software suites that are out there on the internet. But we've developed specific applications, specific files for it, and fixtures to where if you were to put in 80% receivers, it can finish those receivers for you. And the trick in the law is that if you take it to from 80 to 100% on your own, under your own power, that no maker's marks are required. No registration is required. You've manufactured a gun yourself, but you haven't, by doing that, become a commercial manufacturer. You're a private individual. You're working with a hobby mill. You're working with a tool in your garage. There's no requirement for you to tell anybody about what you've done.
In 49 states. I will note
Excepting the state of California in 2018, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I happen to be based in California, and that was
that's right.
That was something that was kind of major that happened last year, and there are a lot of people that are very upset about that. 80% lowers have been a big deal for a little while here.
Well, I'll tell you, California is still the largest market of AR-15s and AR 80%. So I think both AR 80% producers that I admire are based out of California to this day.
Yeah.
Just because something becomes illegal doesn't mean it stops happening. How about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, we can talk about your Liberator pistol. I mean, before they shut you down, you had how many downloads roughly?
The Liberator alone, just in 2 days before it was taken down, got over 100,000. But I'll tell you, and people held on to that number, but the most successful downloads we ever have were for the AR-15 lower receiver, version 5 receiver that you could print. And I'll tell you, we had almost 2 million downloads of that single file before our website was taken down. That's worldwide,
Yeah, that is just amazing. That's a lot of people getting their hands on, their brains on information.
That's right.
We can. There are people out there that would say, that we're talking about the rampant release of firearms throughout the world, but at the same time, I like a different side of it, which is the rampant release of freedom throughout the world.
This is the way I choose to see it and talk about it. Now, I don't discredit the other argument. In fact, I respect it quite a bit, maybe more than I even should. But it comes down to an attitude about information. Ultimately, we're not trying to be reckless. We're trying to have an attitude about the freedom of information, and that should extend to principles in physics and chemistry and mechanics, tooling. Like, you should be able to know how to make a gun, just as a condition of being a free human being. Full stop, in our minds.
There's just so much. We could go on and on about this for probably an entire show, maybe even a couple of shows. But, this is something that is a story that's going to continue to play out. I want to ask you to keep in touch and allow us to revisit this topic as this moves through the courts, as this continues to evolve, both as a story, but as our rights. If you would, please give out information on where people can find out more in regards to your book, Defense Distributed, and Ghost Gunner.
Oh, sure. Hey, look, you Google me, you'll find the book. My name is Cody Wilson. Our products, our information are at ghostgunner.net. That's where we make our machines and sell our receivers and tooling. And we appreciate anyone who would like to check out our work. It's principled work, and we're very dutiful about it. And we thank you for taking an interest.
Thank you very much, Cody. Again, Cody Wilson, ghostgunner.net. We'll be back with more Computer Talk Radio in just a moment.
Hi, this is Benjamin Rockwell. Most of us use digital cameras nowadays, but what do we do with those old pictures and slides in the back of the closet? Well, let me tell you about Legacy Digital Productions. They specialize in taking your old memories on film, videotape, and slides and digitizing them to DVDs. If you have boxes of old slides, then you know they fade more and more each year. Let Legacy Digital scan them for you and stop the aging process dead in its tracks. You'll get beautiful 10-megapixel digital files, color-corrected and ready for printing. All this is done faster and cheaper than buying a film scanner and doing it yourself. Your files are then burned onto gold archival DVD discs where they will last for generations. Call right now, mention my name, Benjamin Rockwell, and receive a 30% discount on your order. Call toll-free 1-866-2-LEGACY. That's 1-866-2-LEGACY. And tell them Benjamin sent you. Your memories are priceless, so call 866-2-LEGACY now.
Keith M. Sedor is a Mac. Benjamin Rockwell is a PC. I think a fanboy fight is about to start.
The phone number 888-NERD. 888. That's 888-6373. 888. Keith M. Sedor joins me now. He is, of course, the man we know as My Mac Guru. Also available at mymacguru.com. We have been talking about all kinds of different items over the years in regards to, of course, Apple and iOS. And I wanted to get your opinion on one of the latest things that seems to be headed our way.
I know you wanted my opinion as to whether or not to buy the blue one or the red one. Always go with the blue one. It goes with more things. No?
No, not that. Nothing to do with the Matrix. No.
That was good. You got that. That was good.
Yes. There is something. There are people calling this the app-pocalypse.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know. And I'm always.
Is this like the Y2K of the App Store?
Something like that.
You know what a bust that Y2K turned out to be.
Well, it made me plenty of money, but that's another story altogether. Oh, man. Fortunately, it did turn out to be not all that much. There were some problems, but few and far between. But getting back to this whole so-called app-pocalypse, so we buy all of these apps in the App Store, and I guess there's an issue in regards to old apps used to be written in 32-bit, and now everybody's doing 64-bit programming, and Apple doesn't want to convert the 32-bit programs anymore so that they'll run under the iOS 11, which will be a 64-bit operating system. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, this is easy. I've already created a solution for this, Benjamin, on the Mac. It's quite simple.
You don't use the program?
No. You keep using the program. And you keep using your old hardware. You find a piece of hardware that you max out the specifications. So if it's an iPad, if it's an iPhone, you get the one with the greatest quantity. You put it on the last best possible operating system that will run the apps that you need to run. And then you just keep using them. Now, If you need to get a new device to take you into the future, go ahead and do that. But just don't retire the old one that runs your old apps. What do I mean? Well, I'll give you a really good example, Benjamin.
Sure.
I'm running a 2011 MacBook Pro. When the machine was brand new, it shipped with a 256 gigabyte hard drive and 8 gigabytes of RAM. Well, I've bumped it up to a maximum of 16 gigabytes of RAM, and I bumped up that 256 gigabyte drive to a 1 terabyte drive when a 1 terabyte was the largest drive you could put in a laptop. And then when a 2 terabyte drive came out, I replaced the drive once again. Now, here's the thing. For my OS purposes, I really didn't need more than 1 terabyte in the machine. So what did I do? I partitioned it. I've got a dual booting Mac operating system, but I'm not booting into Mac and Windows. No. I'm booting into 2 different versions of the Mac operating system. My primary operating system is a legacy operating system, 10.6.8. Snow Leopard. Why am I running Snow Leopard, you ask?
Why are you running Snow Leopard?
I'll tell you, Benjamin. I'm glad you asked. Because Apple completely hosed iTunes with iTunes 11. And I'm running iTunes 10.7, the last good version of iTunes, before they completely overtook the interface and completely messed it up. I mean, the only thing worse than iTunes 11 is iTunes 12. I mean, really? Comparing iTunes 11 and iTunes 12 is like comparing Star Trek V and Star Trek Nemesis. Bad and worse. The 2 worst Star Trek movies ever made. One is worse than the next.
But which one? Oh, no.
Nemesis is hands down the worst. But that having been said, I am running a legacy operating system so I could use the last good version of the software before the software wouldn't run any longer. So if it's an issue where the software isn't going to run and the vendor isn't going to release a 64-bit version of the application, and you still want to use that app, and the app isn't dependent upon an internet connection, by all means, preserve and take very good care of your legacy hardware and keep using the legacy software on an older device. Beginning and end of it. Simple as that.
What do you say about the people who've paid for those, that have paid for the old application? I mean, it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Did you think it was going to last forever? We don't live in a society where your items are made of cast iron and they last forever anymore. We live in a society where planned obsolescence is part of the product life cycle. Be prepared to buy a new whatever. Be prepared to buy a competitor's product. Be prepared that your product will have an end of life someday.
Fair enough. You know, that is definitely quite fair.
Exactly. So that having been said, that's my opinion. I could be wrong.
Did you say opinion? Opinion, like the Apple version of an opinion. Very interesting. Yes. This is Benjamin Rockwell.
And I'm Keith M. Sedor.
You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment.
You may submit your questions online using the contact form at the Computer Talk Radio website, computertalkradio.com. Alternatively, you may call Benjamin at 888-NERD-888. That's 888-637-3888.
Years ago, I found a web hosting company that fit my needs as a computer nerd, as a radio show host, and just a normal person. Recently, though, it was clear to me that it was time to upgrade, but I had a choice between my old plan and the new one at 7 times the cost. It was that awkward point where I could choose between a sip of water or being dunked in a pool. I searched around, comparing the many options for someone like me. After searching around for 3 weeks, there it was, SiteGround. In proper fashion, I tested their customer service, their knowledge, and their willingness to do things the right way. The SiteGround salesman made sure that I didn't overbuy and get a 50-gallon bucket when a 32-ounce soda would do. These guys know WordPress, Joomla, and regular standard websites. These guys at SiteGround are awesome. SiteGround.com. Site SITE, ground.com. Sometimes I talk about products that are still very much in an evolution phase. This is one of those products. It is a product called Lima, Lima. Think of like Lima, Peru. But this is a cloud-based solution that you have at your own home. We've got a number of these cloud products that we rely on a regular basis, whether we're talking about OneDrive or Dropbox or something like that. But so much of our usage is just for ourselves. Granted, I will use these features in a more advanced state and share files with a number of people, but a lot of people are utilizing these just for themselves. Lima gives you the power to do exactly this. I have Lima hooked up to my iPhone. I have it hooked up to my desktop, my laptop, and a number of other computers that are all exchanging the same amount of information. So actually it's my wife's laptop and my wife's desktop and, my wife's iPhone. But we share a number of different files between us, and we can put them all in one spot on our Lima. Now, this is an exciting project that is evolving on a regular basis, and I wanted to give you kind of an idea right up front rather than wait around. So often we want to just wait and we want to see the developed product. But there are so many different things that are coming at this product that are going to be coming over the course of the next few months. And I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the future of something like this because we're moving away from, with Lima, we're moving away from the pay amount. We're moving away from some of these limits, a matter of, okay, you can have whatever it is, 2 gigabytes with Dropbox. How about this? 1 terabyte with Lima. 1 terabyte. That's the drive that I've got hooked up to it right now, and that's just the drive that's hooked up to it. I could easily hook up. I've got a 4 terabyte drive here that's spare. I could hook that one up. There are a number of different things that I could do. The neat thing about this too is we can situate something like this Lima at a safe location, a location that is different than what you would normally think about. All right, so what do I mean by this? This gives you a remote backup location to put all of your important pictures over at, let's say, Grandma's house. All of your documents, all of your tax returns and everything else. And you can locate these safely on a safe cloud, not out in the public where everybody can access it. Or you accidentally share one of these folders, through one of these services, and you don't have to worry about Dropbox or Microsoft with their OneDrive or Google's Drive. Do we trust Google? The answer is no. Do we want any of this where other people can access it? No, we want to keep control over it. So I want you to check this out. Meet Lima, MEETLIMA.com. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio.
Let me tell you about the Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. TheRadioFactory.com.
Yeah, he's our favorite nerd. Translating technobabble to English, your translation expert, Benjamin Rockwell, is here with Computer Talk Radio.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. The phone number, 888-NERD, 888, that's 888-6373-888. I am a computer nerd. So when I talk about some of the things that we talk about on the radio, and I refer to nerds, a hired nerd, a hired geek, whatever it is, I'm telling you this with, the endearment that one has for not only the nerds and geeks, but for himself. I embrace this. I accept this. You hopefully know this by now. So I'm going to tell you about things that a hired nerd might not tell you. I'm giving you this chance to understand myself and your computer technician a little bit better, a lot better. I mean, look, there are all kinds of nerds out there. And even if we get out of some of these different areas and we start realizing that nerds come in all kinds of flavors, the sports nerd, the computer nerd, the gun nerd, the swim nerd, the soccer nerd, you've got the idea. Anyways, there is something, though, that a hired nerd, the one who's working for money, is not going to always be aware of some of these things, and he's not always going to share them with you. But I'm going to help you get through this. All right. We have sort of this form of ADD. All right. It comes from the fact that we don't always get as much interaction as normal. So either we're going to get distracted and talk to you, or we're going to get distracted by avoiding talking to you. Look, this is how you handle this. You take it easy. A number of us, nerds, not all of us, a number of us can actually multitask fairly well. We will get into casual conversation, and you can do this. You can engage us in casual conversation. It helps put us at ease as well. But make sure we stay focused on the job at hand. Watch that screen. Watch that monitor. I personally watch the monitor while I'm talking to people. And I find that a lot of time we're waiting for the computers. So we get into very interesting discussions. No nerd knows everything. I am a generalist. I am very much a generalist. I have some areas of specialty because I'm nerdy in a number of different directions, and many other nerds are as well. However, sometimes we will get to a problem that we don't understand, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Our drive is to fix that problem, however, and we will chase the issue until we get it. Sometimes we do chase too far, so make sure you rein us in if we spend a long time doing something. Try to understand a little bit of what we're doing. If you're not understanding it, that's okay. We need to make sure on our side, the nerd side, we want to try and help you along with this. So ask questions that will help you understand. Leave them open-ended, of course. We do have our backup plans, other nerds we rely on. We've got Google. We've got all kinds of different little tricks that we use to keep your computer running. Speaking of Google, there is something that we know. It's called Google Fu. Yeah, it's kind of like Kung Fu. It's amazing. Even to some nerds, it's just downright awesome. We run across the most common things regularly, but few of us have a master's degree and a black belt in Google Foo. So we use this. We do our best to look up things, even sometimes when we've done that task before. I will tell you that I use this just to remind myself, okay, what was that command? I know what it is. I'll type it in, and boom, there we go. Here's another one for you. Reboot first. And this is something that we should always be telling you, but we sometimes forget. Look, this is a 50-50 chance, but you want to look for common things, as they might trip us up as well. You reboot. You check the power. Even if you allow us to remote in, we're doing this via remote, it saves a drive. It saves time. It saves energy. And I will tell you, I have given clients discounts for not having to travel. I charge travel time. I will also give a discount for not having to travel. Why? Because I can sit there at my computer and I'm charging, and I can look away from the monitor for a minute. I can sip my iced tea, and I can have a sandwich of my own choosing at home just by doing that. Independent nerds, by the way, we rock. That major chain, that franchise, or whatever it is, there's a number of different avenues out there. They don't pay enough for any tech that's worth its weight in network cords to work for them for very long. What you get is quality. You get a little bit more personability as well, and a higher level of attention than the guy who's just learning this tech business stuff. Now, of course, the hired nerd may not tell you this, but your computer isn't going to fix itself either. You need to perform routine annual checkups, and you can do these on your own. Running your standard virus scan takes a long time, but I would not pay myself. I'm telling you, don't pay me or some other nerd to sit there and stare at the screen. Instead, ask them, the nerd, the hired gun, before they arrive as to what programs you can download for them, install, and run. Now, this does bring up something else. I've talked about money a few times. Now, for me, I answer questions on the radio, and I'm there for you. I'm going to tell you that there are people who do charge. So we've been talking about that hired nerd concept. Do not, whatever you do, don't argue rates. I'm constantly amazed that people will try to argue with me about my going rate. I don't argue with a car mechanic. I don't argue with the doctor. I don't argue at the local grocery store. So don't play that game with me, with that hired nerd, with the guy who's coming into your house to fix your computers. You know, I had this CPA. He had this massive home, and it had an amazing view out over the Pacific Ocean, and he argued my price down to abysmal rates, and then later he pleaded with me to return to resolve more things, but I declined. It's not worth the hassle. We're doing something that you don't know how to do. So remember that when the bill comes. There's that age-old story, the plumber who taps on the pipe in the right spot. He charged for the tap of the pipe like $5, but for knowing where to tap on the pipe, he charged $495, and that's how you get to a $500 bill. So our prices vary. The nerds, we charge even for the same type of job. So I give my pastor a discount, but I also charge more for people who I know can afford it. Businesses get to write off the invoices, and other people sometimes clearly need a break. And speaking of that, if someone is light on funds and they tell me up front, I work with them, or I try to. I mean, don't lie. It's abundantly clear to nerds how much that you have. We may not be able to read your emotions well. We may not be able to really sense exactly what kind of person you are, but I know without a doubt where your income lies before I walk in the door. I can see what kind of car you drive. I can see what kind of house you have. Going beyond that, I can see what type of computer you have. If you're low on cash, I'm going to give you suggestions for things, ways we can save you money on the repair job. For instance, I mentioned running that virus scan. That's something you can do to save money. And of course, if that fixes things, if they give you ideas that help you out, reward them as best you can. This is something, I'm giving you this knowledge, and I want you to pay this forward. Help out that nerd, because look, we're not always on top of everything, so we do our best, right? This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back with more in just a moment.
Let me tell you about the Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
The website, ComputerTalkRadio.com, ComputerTalkRadio.com. One of the big, huge concepts that I, Benjamin Rockwell, that I deal with on a regular basis is making sure that people are keeping pace with technology. Now, I want you to understand, look, keeping pace with technology doesn't mean you have to be at the bleeding way at the forefront of whatever it is that's going on in technology. But I do want you to at least, at a minimum, have some idea of where you're at with your computers, with your technology. I don't care if you're running a business. I don't care if it's, a home office. I don't care if it's just a matter of you at home, just playing on the internet. Look, if you are like most people, there is a certain level of comparison to the things you're doing in your life to how much it would cost in a business environment. Okay, here, let me put it a different way. So a while back, I was watching this reality TV show, and there was this company that did not have a computer for over 6 months. Let me say this again. They didn't have a computer. Well, they didn't have this is a business. We know today that a computer is basically it's what you do your books with. At a minimum, we hear about this program all the time, Quicken. Everybody wants to use Quicken, and it doesn't matter. It could be Peachtree. It could be, there are so many different programs out there for accounting. But it's the basic concept issue of you need to track your books, right? In today's modern society and business, sometimes there are people out there that still lose track of what we really need to run that business. Today, you and I, we rely upon the computer and the internet and the programs that we've got there for so much that it no longer pays for us, you and I, to just move along, to muddle along with some old antiquated computer that just Well, it was invented by Tom Edison, and he assembled it himself back when he was alive. Let me go through something here. We're going to do some math, not hard math. We're not going to go through a whole lot of stuff here, but I'm going to give you an idea that maybe it is time for you to replace your computer. We're going to forget about the fact that Moore's Law says that computers double in speed and capacity every 2 years. That in itself is exciting, but it doesn't always serve for good money decisions. This is what really serves for a good money decision. How long does your computer take to boot? If you have a computer that is 6 years old and you have to wait an average of 5 minutes extra every day for your computer to boot up, okay, you are cutting into your own money. Time is money. Whatever we do in our lives involves time. And again, time, money, all that. We put this together. We put this all together quickly. Consider that waiting for your computer to boot might be shrunk down from 5 minutes in these days with a solid-state drive for me to log into my computer, my desktop. As a matter of fact, I got a brand new desktop, and one of the things I did before the system was out of its box, I had already ordered a solid-state hard drive. Had it shipped to me by Amazon. Okay, it was same day, but that's another story. It was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to set this up. Oh, I need a solid-state drive. The original one is not going to, it's not going to be anywhere near as fast as that solid-state drive. This is a key instance for you to think about. The boot time for this system, my primary computer system that I'm talking about right now, is not 5 minutes. It's not 6 minutes. It's not even 4 minutes or 3 minutes. It's right around 10 seconds from hitting the power button and it coming up to the Windows login prompt. After I type in my password, it is ready to go after about 8 to 10 seconds more. We're going to call that 20 seconds. How long do you think it takes for me to load Excel? I'm sitting actually in front of this computer. Excel is now running. I typed in Excel, and that was maybe 4 seconds, 3 seconds for Excel to start up. And this is the same across all of the board. I'm going to type in PowerPoint, and here we go. We're going to time it 1,000, 2. Oh, there we go. That was it. That's how long it took for PowerPoint to start up. This is my primary work system right here. Now, we can shrink that time down. I want you to go ahead and load up Word, load up Excel, load up PowerPoint if you have it. Load up Chrome or Internet Explorer, or if you're running Windows 10, load up Edge, loading up Outlook, whatever it is. All of these different things take a certain amount of time. We're not even going to talk about all of that time. We're going to go back to that 5 minutes per day, and we're going to make this as a business decision. And business owners, you can translate this into your employees. If you make $15 an hour, or your employee does, then that computer upgrade needs to be balanced against that money. If I can give you back 5 minutes into your business day, your personal day, your whatever, of productivity, 5 minutes of productivity, 5 minutes of just strength, 5 minutes of to spend doing more of what you need or what you like, whatever it is, then how do we attach a money value to that? Simply put, let's say you make $15 an hour, okay? $15 an hour. That's in a couple of years. That's going to be the minimum wage in California. You may make more money than this. You may make a lot more money than this, or you may be retired, but you still have some idea there of what $15 an hour is really about. And okay, so that 5 minutes of computer slowdown costs you a matter of $1.25 a day. 5 minutes. 5 minutes is $1.25 a day. Imagine you're going to boot up your computer and you just pluck $1.25 out of your wallet. You put it in the jar, and there you go. business users are going to actually save more than 5 minutes a day. I'm only dealing with that boot time. There are, of course, less work days than overall days in the year, but if we start putting this together, $1.25 a day translates into about $450 per year. Over the course of 2 years, that's $900. But these days, we're spending $600, $700 on computers, or maybe you're only spending $300 on computers. It's crazy math, of course, to say that that you're going to save $300 if you purchase a new computer every 2 years. But it's not crazy to note that you're saving yourself that cash out of that whole time equals money thing if you upgrade when your computer is too old and slow. If you upgrade when you realize that, my system takes too long to boot. So, 2-year-old computer, don't sweat it. 4 years old, I'm going to start saying, this is the time you think about it. This is the real time to do it. 6 or more years old, I'm saving money by not buying a new computer. This is perfectly fast enough. No, it isn't. If it's 8 years old, what are you waiting for at this point? This is the time to buy. Actually, 4 years old. 4-year-old system, no matter what. You put those little incremental things together and you get that much more powerful computer. You get the newest features. You get the newest different things that go along with it. The updated USB 3 or maybe you want to go with the eSATA or whatever it is. All of these different options just make your system that much better. This is the key thing. Apply it yourself. Figure out how much you make an hour and apply that 5 minutes to your system. You'll be pleasantly surprised. Well, maybe not pleasantly. Who knows? This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment. I'm constantly looking for the right place to get the things that are on my nerd wish list. It's not easy. There are so many stores that have gone out of business. There are so many shady characters online, or so many of them are just simply not capable of handling my needs in a one-stop shop. In 1979, two guys got together and built the brick-and-mortar company that could serve your tech needs. Of course, today, they've got an online presence, and it's called Micro Center. They've got tablets, iPad, yes, but also Android and Windows and all the accessories, too. They've got laptops, desktops, all-in-ones, Windows or Apple, of course, all covered here. Motherboards and processors, and okay, all right, who are we kidding? It's really everything to build your own PC. Keyboards, mice, surge protectors, software, tools, and thumb drives. Enough. Look, from Apple to Zyxel, Micro Center has what you're looking for. 25 stores across the nation, or you can check them out online at microcenter.com. That's microcenter.com. The phone number, 888-NERD 888. That's 888-637-3888. Marty Winston joins me now with the 40yearhouse.com project. And one of the things that I'm really appreciating recently is the concept of locks. And I've been going through a number of different things in regards to hardening my own home because of an unfortunate incident. I don't know where it happened, but my wife got freaked out and said, let's change the locks. Okay, great. So we went through all of that a little while back. But I got further fascinated by this. And Marty, I know in our discussions, you've said one of the biggest issues you're dealing with is you've got this great 40-year house, and you're concerned about locking yourself out. Well, rather not locking yourself out. You want to explain this?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, everyone's seen electronic deadbolts. That's what the home automation category has on the shelf right now, and there's probably 20 of them. And I took a look at them, and of course, being me, I didn't like any of them.
Yes.
So I did a lot of homework, and I discovered that on the commercial side, Schlage has not an electronic lock, but an electrified lock. It opens or locks or unlocks with a 24-volt solenoid built into what looks like a standard doorknob. And rather than use a deadbolt, it has what's called a dead latch. So a single knob with a lock cylinder on one side of it can do the work of both the normal doorknob that you have below and the deadbolt you have above in most doorways. It's a really cool and elegant-looking answer, especially since there are some secret ways to feed it through hinges for power and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But what it does, it allows me, for example, in the event that there's a fire, to unlock all 5 of the entry doors so that first responders can get into the house. In the event of an emergency in the house, somebody's broken in and we feel threatened by that, we have some secret silent ways to have the house phone the police. And again, we can give them access. If there's a threat that we perceive outside the house, we can lock all the doors.
Okay.
If it's after dark and everybody's home, we can lock all the doors. That is simple enough to automate. The problem is, well, let me get into the specifics of this lock.
Okay.
The inside doorknob is a plain doorknob. No toggle, no nothing. Anytime you turn it, no matter what state it's in, you can leave the house.
Right. Got it.
Okay. The outside doorknob will turn freely if the door is unlocked, or not turn at all if the door is locked. Anytime the door is locked, you can always, even electrically locked, you can always open the door with a key. The key will pull the latch back and let you in. So
got it. Okay.
It's also a superior key. It's a 6-pin key, so it's less likely to get bumped or picked or drilled out.
Sure.
Now, that's a really nice combination if you use it cleverly, but there are also ways you can shoot yourself in uncomfortable positions. So in thinking about this, I might add, you cannot use the key to change the lock from a locked state to an unlocked state. Only the electric can do that. The key will always let you in, but it won't leave you with an unlocked door.
Got it. Okay. All right. So that's because of the solenoid, and it's basically latching when the door closes, and you can temporarily open it with a key, but not permanently open it with a key.
Right.
Okay.
The key moves the latch without moving the solenoid, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've got all kinds of automation, as you've heard, and if I have left the breezeway of the house, which has a locking door, and entered the garage, if I don't have a key with me, and if I have the wrong logic for locking that door, I don't have a way to get back in the house, do I?
Okay, so you always have a key, but that seems cumbersome to me.
Really? Would it be less cumbersome to always have a Bluetooth dongle or always have your phone with you?
You've got to. I don't know. You've got to figure out something.
Oh yeah.
Is automation the answer then?
Well, automation is it's part of the answer.
Okay.
For example, if I know that the garage door has been closed all the while I'm in the garage, there is no threat of anyone using that to gain entry to the house, and I can keep the door to the house unlocked.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. If we're in a mode where we're wide open, which is okay, there's a party or whatever, then we can just leave it unlocked. If we're in an after dark bedtime mode, then we can, because we're tracking warm bodies in the house, mm-hmm. we know that somebody who belongs in the house has gone down the breezeway to the garage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To some extent, we know if the garage doors are open or not. We can track their progress in the garage, and to some extent, use that to let them back in. If the pixel map hasn't been, nobody hit you on the head and left you under the car or anything. So we can use that kind of automation. But I always go with the presumption, automation ain't foolproof.
Okay, so what are you going to do? I mean, you're going to hide a key maybe?
Well, that opens up a lot of vulnerability, especially when key opens everything in the house.
Yeah, and I can imagine, okay, so somebody comes across the key then at some point, and now they know how to get in.
Yeah. So,
you can't just leave keys lying around.
Right, even fake rocks.
I've only seen that on like a dozen television programs in the last year, and one movie.
One option, well, several things. One option is to have the garage speakers, because we've got caps in the garage, the ceiling sensor pots. Make a tone that says, you're running out of time. You may want to go back in the house and out again, or go get a key or whatever you're going to do.
Oh, okay.
And that's one option that may work. But, maybe you're not paying attention, or maybe your arms are full. Maybe you can't do that. So one option would be to hide a switch somewhere, a momentary switch that sends a pattern to one of the computers. And if the computer recognizes the authentication pattern, that'll unlock the door and let you in. And then, there might be another trick.
You've got a secret backup plan?
Well, it is a secret, but it may involve a Bluetooth beacon transmitter that may play into it.
Interesting. There's so much in regards to this house. It's always fascinating, and I won't dig any deeper on this one, especially since we're out of time. But the website for Marty's 40-year house is 40yearhouse.com. You can spell it, or you can use the numbers 40yearhouse.com. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment.
Hey guys, this is Benny Rockwell. Most of us use video cameras nowadays, but what about those old movie films in the back of your closet? Well, let me tell you about Legacy Digital Productions. They specialize in taking your old memories on film, videotape, and slides and digitizing them to DVDs. Imagine Grandpa's old 8mm and 16mm films that are just sitting in a box getting old and fading away. Legacy Digital will clean and recondition those films, capture them digitally frame by frame, and then produce beautiful DVDs of your precious memories on long-lasting, archive-quality discs. They don't use a projector, and your films can't be damaged in the process, the best available for families like yours. The final results are gorgeous. What better way to preserve those precious memories for future generations? Call right now, mention my name, Benny Rockwell, and receive a 30% discount on your order. Call toll-free 1-866-2-LEGACY. That's 1-866-2-LEGACY. 1-866-253-4229. And tell them Benny sent you. Your memories are priceless. So call 866-2-LEGACY now.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. That is where, if you have any questions whatsoever, you can go on to the website and contact us. Just scroll on down to where it says contact us, and we will get back with you. That's the kind of people we are. We want to help you with all of your computer issues. Steve Keske joins me now. And Steve, one of the biggest concerns I have is that people fall prey to all kinds of different scams out there on the internet, all kinds of different pop-ups and stuff like that. What's one of the ones you've come across lately?
Well, one of the older ones that are really popping up again this time is it comes up in your browser or maybe on your tablet or whatever. Anyway, a message comes up and says, "Oh, we're your operating system, and we found such and such a spyware, a malware on your system, and you're supposed to call this number, and we will help you rectify it." Well,
oh yeah, and sometimes they'll even say that, this is Microsoft.
Mine came up and said MSN.
Sure, yeah, they'll do that one in a number of different ways. It's all part of the phish concept, PHISH. Yeah. They're trying to get all kinds of information or access to your computer or both.
And in this case, this one, once they call you up, and a lot of people have reported this, that you call them up, and what they do is they say, "We need access to your computer."
Yes.
That's like a big red flag. People do not give them access to your computer system.
Yeah, that is one of the things that there are times when you might give access to a computer system that you have, but it's going to be with people you already know, or when you're already intentionally calling technical support. Okay, for instance, all right. So
Like
I'm
us.
I'm here. I'm on the radio, and you call me with computer questions. You've got whatever problem it is that's going on, and one of the ways we can help you is by remote controlling your system.
That's right.
We are not going to charge you for that. We're going to be very upfront and open with it. It's usually when I do it, it's going to be something. I want to see the error message. I will walk you through. I will typically take the approach of a very hands-off approach. A matter of I take my hand off the mouse and I'll say, hey, why don't you click on that particular item there? Okay, great. And then we're going to do this, and then I walk you through it. But it allows me to make sure that we're seeing the same issues. These guys over on the other side, the guys who are doing the scams, they will fly along, and they're not interested in training you. They're interested in getting something from you.
Oh, yeah. Like all your personal data, all your contacts. So now they can send emails to all the people that are on your contact lists and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Which is not a cool thing. But, of course, with me, they came up on my PC, and, like, I know I have virus protection software. I have Windows protection software. My ISP's got, spyware and protection security systems and all that. So I'm saying, I don't think I've got anything on my system I should worry about.
Yeah, this is one of those things where sometimes it is a big, huge pitch to you. It's like a sales pitch, and they are really mastering this whole idea of the communication with you. They're trying to scare you. They're trying to entice you. They're trying to find whatever way it is to get your information. This entire concept of social engineering has been around for a long time. This is something that people were doing this back in. I remember working for a company back in the 80s, and somebody called up and they said, "What's the model number of that copier that's sitting around the corner from you?" The model number of the copier sitting around the corner from me? Yeah. I think it's whatever it was that they said, a Xerox, but I don't have the model number here. We're sending you toner out. Like, oh, really? You are? Yeah, and their whole goal there is to find out what model number it is. That way, when the toner arrives, you go, okay, well, this is the copier we have, and then they send you the bill for like 10 times what the toner is worth.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all social engineering. It's all trying to get you to do something, trying to knock you off guard, and get you to do something you wouldn't normally do.
That's it, and that's the nutshell. And that I want people to understand that you have to be on your guard all the time for these little nuances coming in at you, and don't ever think that you should be scared because they're telling you that you've got this. No. If you've got a problem, take it down to a dealer that you know knows what they're doing, or in our case, call us, because we're going to do it, and we know what we're doing, and we're going to train you how to fix it the next time.
Exactly. There are so many different things that are going to come along. If you think possibly, maybe, whatever this is, it just seems a little too scary. It seems a little bit too off. It seems a little bit too good to be true or bad to be true. Whatever it is, step back and take a deep breath and look at it again. This is Benjamin Rockwell, and that's Steve Keske. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back with my closing comments in just a moment. Years ago, I found a web hosting company that fit my needs as a computer nerd, as a radio show host, and, well, a normal person. Recently, though, it became clear to me that it was time to upgrade. I had a choice between my old plan and the new one at 7 times the cost. It was that awkward point where I could choose between a sip of water or being dunked in a pool. I searched around, comparing the many options for someone like me. After looking for 3 weeks, there it was, SiteGround. In proper fashion, I tested their customer service, their knowledge, and their care, their willingness to do things the right way. The SiteGround salesman made sure that I didn't overbuy and get a 50-gallon bucket when all I needed was a 1-gallon bucket. The folks at SiteGround know WordPress, Joomla, and more. SiteGround.com. SITE ground.com for your web hosting needs. SiteGround. So, as I mentioned earlier in this week's show, I've changed jobs, and this was quite an interesting situation. It just happened very recently. As I record this, I'm finishing up my first week. This last week was my first week on the new job. I got approached via text while I was off at the Consumer Electronics Show, and we went through the whole bit, and I left the aerospace industry. I gave notice, and it was quite an interesting experience leaving a company where I had been. Well, I started consulting there in 1993. Yeah. 93. Can you imagine that? That is a long time to be with any company. Most people will work for a company for 4 or 5 years in the IT industry, and then they'll move on. And those are the old timers. 4 or 5 years, that's somebody who's definitely they've seen a lot of growth in that particular company as far as the technology, as far as all of the things that they've done. Yeah, have been there longer. 23 years. And coming up next week, or maybe the following week, we'll go through kind of the journey of my leaving my old company, because there's a lot of observations that I made along the way. Different things in regards to securing the company's data, and also how do you transfer the knowledge of somebody who's been around that long. Especially in a small environment. So that's been quite an interesting experience for me. I moved on. The company I went to is in the financial industry. I'm not going to go into very many details. I don't think I've ever mentioned the company I used to work for as far as the actual name of it, and I'll probably continue that same direction. I don't want to influence anybody for the positive or the negative. I'm not a spokesperson, I'm here to talk about computers and technology, not about the rest of this stuff. But I went into a very unique area within the company. I'm dealing with a lot of IT, very specialized auditing, something called best practices. And we'll talk about that too. There is so much that's coming in the coming weeks that I'm going to be talking about. The most important thing, though, to note is this isn't going to change. What you and I have, our discussions, our different topics that we talk about every week. Computer Talk Radio has been around as well for quite a while. We just celebrated. I was first on air in 2008, so that gives you an idea of how long we've been doing this. So yeah, I enjoy this. I enjoy being there for you, and I enjoy the many conversations that I've had with the listeners over the years, and I'm looking forward to many, many more. This is Benjamin Rockwell, and of course, you're listening to Computer Talk Radio. We will definitely catch up with you next week.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time.